Hello. It's been a while. So, started, shall we? Hi. Did you miss me? Good. Let's get right to it, shall we? One up, but should work. I'll do that now. Yes. I'd be surprised if anyone notices the little something different about me. Okay, let's see if that's correct for what I want it to be. That should be. Welcome to Docked. You guys are in for a wild ride. There we go. I turn this down on my end. For those of you who do not remember or have never paid much attention to some of the things I've said in passing on of my previous streams, I have worked in the intermodal industry for 5 years and 5 days, starting as a ground woman, and within my first year working as a hostler driver, which is what I continue to do today. I have had on two different chances to operate a reach stacker, once just driving and once while actually operating and loading a container onto a chassis. Beyond that, I have trained approximately 15 to 20 people throughout my career. And the job is not good. The money was good originally, but when this came on the scene and was first announced, I was extremely interested because while I do not work on an intermodal port, so I do not deal with the ship and ship to shore side of things, I do deal with the truck to rail system, the road to rail side of things. So I do have a decent bit of experience in this field. So I'd like to point out what I think Docked got right, what I think they got wrong, and what things I'm willing to let slip, because if they were more realistic, it would become too much like actual work. And as someone who's worked in the industry, having a sim feel too much like work is suicide. So we're going to go through, I've already played through all of the missions we're going to go through, and do this like I've never played it before. Now, this does have keyboard shortcuts, which are not terrible. I think they're kind of actually somewhat intuitive. However, as someone who drives with a truck who uses a wheel in real life, and I don't have a wheel, I've opted to use an Xbox 360 controller because, especially when operating a reach stacker and a ship-to-shore crane, where you'll primarily be using joysticks, specifically in a reach stacker where all functions of the boom are controlled by one joystick in your right hand, using an Xbox controller is actually the more realistic way to play this game. If you were making your own custom third-party controllers to represent what a real reach stacker or a jockey driver or a ship-to-shore crane felt like, that would be good. But just for the demo's sake, I highly recommend you play this with a controller and not keyboard and mouse. I know that sounds counterintuitive for many of you, but trust me, it's much better if you do it that way. I should mention that Docked is running on Unity. It is developed by Saber Interactive, who made Roadcraft, and I believe worked on Mudrunner, I think it was, which was the split off from Spin Tires, which was Uvi's work. This runs on Unity, and I have had no issues with the game since I have tried it. Load times are a bit long, but when you look at the amount of things that are actually being loaded, you'll understand it's important why it takes this long. Because these are some massive pieces of equipment. And this isn't scaled down or cheated in a way like a game like Giant Machines 2017 did, where there are enormous scale of vehicles, but everything you do feels a little limited. In these, well, there are certain little things omitted, like certain safety systems and certain things like weight limitations that are excluded in this game. The core functionality is, in my opinion, correct. You readjust this mic. I'm trying to put it in a new spot. Hopefully that's good enough. That should be. Looks like no, maybe I'll put it right there. Okay. I think this is going to have us be on the last one. Yeah, so that's not what I want. Cancel job. Go back to the menu. Right, I need to go back to the original. You're starting part of a family-owned company. The son of the owner of a terminal known as Port Wake, which is a ship-to-shore terminal. Now, there are only a few things to be operated in this demo. There are ship-to-shore cranes, container reach stackers, and well, I have to get pest control to kill that. There are ship-to-shore cranes, intermodal reach stackers, and straddler cranes, which are extremely dangerous in real life, and I highly recommend if you work in a terminal, you do not work for one of these things. You can get killed very easily. And the other thing you could do in the full game, which we do not have at this thing, is what I actually am an expert in because I deal with it, is Hostler intermodal trucks with chassis, better known as jockey trucks, depending on if you're in the industry or not. It's entirely different. So the first thing we will be doing is, while these numbers, like remove 2 containers, we'll be removing a lot more, but this gives you the summary of how this game is done. Again, so those are jockey trucks. So I will say, for the most part, this game does get a lot of things right. And some of the things that I think are wrong, some of them I am willing to skirt by, because implementing them would become extremely difficult. Not in saying that the team isn't qualified, but as someone who has worked and seen some of these circumstances that happen at intermodal terminals, programming some of that in is not worth the developer's time. And I am a big fan of not having my time wasted. So, also, if the audio gets weird at points, people please let me know, because it's hard to have the chat up and the volume system at the same time. I will say there is music in this game, and for the generic kind of music that is, it fits the world of working intermodal in this kind of sim pretty well, in my opinion. Storming off of Port Wake, 6:10 p.m. My presumption is specific standard time.
Tom, there's a container ship at the pier. Barely made it here. Took heavy damage in the storm and is still taking on water.
Standard 20 foots. That's what you'll be dealing with for the most part.
Dangerous cargo on deck. So get on the STS crane and get it off there. You remember STS, right?
Ship to shore, Dad. Yes, I remember. I'm on it.
STS, that's what we're going to be dealing with. $620 foots per day. I'm going to pause this for just one moment. I need to grab something really quick. Side of the door, so we'll deal. I've dealt with it before. So, plug my headset back in. I will mention that this stream is only going to go on about as long as the demo, and then I'm going to log off because I do have to be at work for 6 in the morning, and it is currently 9:41 at night.
Tommy, those containers on top have got to go. The ship is listing pretty badly.
Got it.
So that's what we're dealing with. I've personally never worked on one of these.
The weather's getting worse, so turn on the crane lights just in case.
All right.
Also, the boom's been known to freeze while lowering.
Thanks for the heads up. I'll use the upper booth to keep an eye on it. I'm going up.
Good.
Presume I actually turned them off. So I may not have. Oh no, I did. I turned them on. There is some motion blur, I believe, but I turned that off for reasons. We're going to floor 4, I believe. Yes. Now, to my knowledge, while some do have, there are fire ladders and escape ladders, you do also have elevators in these. I've never personally worked on one. I'd love to see one. I've never had a chance to be at a port to witness one in operation, however. Also, this game isn't very hand-holdy. It instructs you on basic things, but for the most part, it is a lot of you not being a dumbass and knowing what you need to do. There we go. Lower the boom. There it goes.
How do you like being back?
It's like I never left.
Ah, good. How about a little party tonight at Jay's to celebrate your return?
If you're buying.
For my favorite musician and best friend who's been away for ages? Of course.
Yes, it's been a while. Missed you too.
See you there.
There it is. That's our boom we're operating with. Check something really quick. How's my avatar looking? Audio is pretty decent. I'll turn this down just a little bit. Stream chat, good. Okay. Should mention that happens sometimes. There's a little glitch that I deal with, which is the it not recognizing this right away. Also, ignore the frame rate that's due to alt tabbing. It's actually very smooth. It just takes a second because DirectX has to rebuild its video cache. So this is all how you navigate down to operations. Welcome to your control cabin.
Ready.
Welcome to the STS crane training program. To start, position the cab over the desired container.
Hey, how do I shut this stupid voice off?
You don't. I turned it on to refresh your memory after the long break.
Okay.
There we go. We're going to navigate forwards. We have a very long travel. We're going to slide sideways.
The crane spreader is currently configured to grab standard 20-foot containers. In your manual, they are also referred to as TEUs, or 20-foot equivalent units.
Well, these do not... Well, in real life, these do not have a training program like this. You would actually use a real simulator in another building somewhere else to do these through proprietary software. I do appreciate that it is here for those that have not worked in the industry. So one of the things about these intermodal cranes, you'll see these lights right here. These are actually important. The red one means that the twist locks, which are these little locks that twist in the tops of containers to secure them, if they're in the unsecured position, that will be red. The yellow light is when the spreader makes full contact and all 4 twist locks are in all 4 holes and all the pressure sensors are depressed. The yellow ready light comes on. If you press the twist lock lock key, the red light will go out and the green light will go on, indicating you are now attached to the container. When you lift up, you'll notice the yellow light go out, and now that container is permanently attached to you until you drop it. So we're going to move this up. Now this aiming module thing you're going to see in a second is, to my knowledge, not on any of the real equipment.
Using the twist locks, you must lower the clamps directly into the container slots and secure it.
See, and there's the little clamps. Those happen on ship-to-shore cranes. We do not deal with those in reach stacker. Sure. So notice now the light is red. So now if I were to line this up just a little bit more and line it down.
The container outline on your crane's MFD is filled green.
See how it's yellow?
Lights are on, indicating that the container is ready for gripping.
So now if I were to press A, the twist locks are closed,
Just be careful.
and we are secured.
Those containers have some nasty stuff inside. One puncture and we'll never hear the end of it.
And there we go.
Don't worry. Be careful.
Yellow is off. This container is secure. Now we'll head back. Now, as I will say, even though there are multiple people to monitor and do things on these cranes, they are run by a sole operator. So even though this is an enormous piece of equipment, yes, you only have one person really running it. That is realistic. There are a lot of sounds and beeps, like you sometimes hear to indicate that it's reversing. Warning sounds playing while these are moving, are traversing. Not so much going in and out, but going side to side like this. There are warning sounds for that, and it is different for every crane.
Now carefully lower the container. When you reach the target height, release the twist locks.
So there is one...
Prematurely. This may result in an emergency.
Now that is the one problem with this game that I have an issue with. The twist locks are that. They are these little weird shaped pointing down locks that, if rotated sideways, now have two edges that stick outwards. A safety feature implemented on all reach stackers and cranes is that as long as that yellow light is out, and those twist locks are like that,
And yellow lights together indicate that the container is stable. You can now release the twist locks.
so simply put, if I were to, for any reason, in this game, press the twist lock unlock button at this height, it would drop the container. In real life, that is not possible. I get why it's in this, but in real life, you cannot do that. There are twist lock overrides that can override the pressure sensor system in specific cases, but if a 35-ton container is in the air suspended by those twist locks are not going to rotate because of the sheer amount of weight on them. The motors for the twist lock simply will not let you do that. So that I do not appreciate because I think unfortunately, I don't think they knew that, and without working in the industry, you wouldn't know that actually. So, I can't fault Saber for that, but I do want to give them feedback explaining things that I have actually dealt with and worked with. As someone who has operated a pretty uncommon reach stacker made by Terex, the Terex RS60, which there is not many of. And in fact, ours has been sold to a sister yard. I call it the Italian shitbox, because while it is extremely heavy and is very good at deadlifting, it overheats in the summer, and every part about it is slow. So now you may notice that's a 40-foot. So you're thinking, Yuri, well, how the fuck do we deal with that? This thing's set up for 20-foot. Your spreader has a size like this. They can go between 20 and 40. That's normally what you'll be using. And now, even though it only spreads to 40, you can use 53-foot containers in this configuration because the IBC holes are at the 40-foot parts of the box. So we're going to move forward. Drop down. See how close we are? Double TEU is not... Double TEU is not something I've ever heard it described as, however. Yeah, and the fact that we have wind and things does make the spreader a little bit more difficult to work with. Because you are dealing with the elements, these do have a tendency to sway, so it can, in adverse conditions, be hard to load something.
Tommy, if you're not done yet, you better hurry. That storm is gonna hit any minute now.
You're right on time. All but done.
And you didn't even turn my port into a disaster zone. Not bad.
Yeah, I'll be gone before I get a chance to disappoint you.
Or you could stay and not disappoint me.
All right. Think about that.
That's my boy.
I actually like this storyline-based dialogue. It actually is kind of... There's a lot of stupid shit that happens at container terminals. I should mention this, the terminal I do not work at, no. It is not a we're a family load of bullshit. I hate my boss. I genuinely despise him. Also, I should mention you have a control wheel here for different things on your vehicle, depending on what you're operating. I should also mention that while you want to bring these down gently, you can kind of slam them. We've had to do it in well cars, but it's not advised. Especially if they're container. Especially tank containers. We deal with a specific 40-foot tank container at my ramp occasionally, and 20-foots. They're the ones that when I train someone new, I do not let brand new trainees bring up to or down from the crane. Because if you screw them up, you can kill yourself almost too easily, even though they're extremely well-resistant tanks. There we go. And there's our first one done. Hurricane Wendy. Under extreme enough conditions, this can happen, especially if those are empty containers. Not so much with loads. I'm not sure if there are ports in places like Louisiana, but if there were, I would absolutely say that this kind of thing could happen. Hurricanes don't usually tend to hit places like California, but if they were to hit the port of LA, I do imagine that under it being like whatever the highest hurricane rating is, you could do some serious damage to a terminal and turn it into effectively a war zone. I'm still waiting for the day CS6 decides at West Springfield they need a gantry crane. Here's the thing, as much as I would love that, logistically we can't do it, because on one side of the tracks, on each side, on the outer two tracks, there's ballast that is not level. So you'd have to have a gantry crane that would straddle both sides, and one side is not paved or has cement or is even. So they just wouldn't work. So I would love for us to have one. Unfortunately, our yard's too much of a piece of shit to be able to have one. Next one is our first operation with a reach stacker. That first mission is the only one you get to deal with a ship-to-shore crane. These next two require a reach stacker, and the final one is a straddle carrier. I personally want to show off, besides the reach stacker, when the full game comes out, analyze how they've done hostler driving. As someone who drives a hostler, and even though I'm considered the maniac by my boss just because I drive fast and I know my truck and my chassis very well, I do not drive crazy with a container on my back, but I will drive quick and simply, efficiently if I have an empty chassis or if I'm bobtailing. I am a bitch for safety. I am well known as a pain in the ass in my company because shit that's not being done safe, I will absolutely be a thorn in your side until you get it right. Not in the way that being like a safety guy that people hate at, like, a job site, but the kind of person that is willing to teach you everything, but also wants to make sure you don't go home in a body bag. I'm sure some people in the industry may have mixed feelings with that, though. Hurricane Wendy's aftermath. I think it's on a video thing. Welcome to the remains of your port.
Yes, Dad. This place is a mess.
You're telling me? I'm just starting to tally up the damage. some of our stuff is still okay.
So, yeah, that's the kind of thing you're going to be dealing with. And while there's more expanse, as far as they know, coming in the main game, this is one of those few games where I don't really think having a storyline is not fitting. I actually think it kind of works. My favorite music in the game. There we go. So now we're using one of my favorite pieces of equipment in intermodal work, the reach stacker. Moving a 20-foot and a 40-foot, both delivered to there. Now,
Good. Now get those containers to the free lot. Gently.
Yeah, I remember. One puncture and we'll never hear the end of it.
Yep.
so see,
Something like that.
Nice.
those right there are your... It's hard to say with here. I thought there was a crouch button. Those right there, those are your twist locks. Those twist 90 degrees, and that's how you hold up containers. In other words, that tiny little thing is what actually does all the work. All this other shit is just there to make sure it does its job. Reach Stacker RTEC 69H4. My guess would be based off of these. Also, the boom can both tilt. There'd be like a hydraulic arm right here and one right here to tilt it left and right. But these are to extend it, extend the spreader in and out. That is so you can rotate it up to 180 degrees. The spreader extends between 20 and 40 foot. In some cases, mounted around here, you'd have work lights. That's all dependent on the manufacturer. From what I can tell, there's a couple companies I'm not super well acquainted with that make reach stackers, but based on the design, this looks like a heister. The ones that I personally have dealt with are a Terex RS60 and a pair of Top Lift Ferrari F581s. You can look those up on Top Lift America's YouTube channel. To my guess, there isn't a Terex that this is based off of. It could be based off the really ancient RS55, but it looks almost too new. My guess would be Heister, just because Heister's still in the reach stacker game, making crazy shit to this day. I do like the getting in animations. I think they're really good. These also do have a glass canopy. And you may notice there's a bit of a rail right here. You can slide this cabin forward to better see over extra cars and things, so... And it does normally take roughly about 6 seconds to start these fuckers, so... Now, the selecting drive mode thing, we don't have that on ours. The way to get between just stop mode and drive mode is the parking brake button. It's an electronic parking brake. So in this case, we're going to do how I would it work. I'm going to raise the boom up enough so we can still get under things, but we still have a clear view. I'd honestly do, to test the brakes, I'll do a quick reverse and quick forwards. At work, they sometimes do this a few times to make sure that the brakes are working properly. Now, you can see the twist locks rotating. That should not be possible right now, unless we were using the override. Now, also, it's not modeled, and I think it's just due to the limitations for the demo. You'll see the 3 status lights we had on the ship-to-shore crane up here. These don't work in this one. Now, there actually is another thing. So, all of these containers have what's known as ISO holes. In other words, there are 2 different kinds of sets of holes on the tops and bottoms of containers. International shipping containers and earlier 53 foots use what is known as ISO, where the twist lock holes are actually a couple inches inwards from the edges of the container. The newer ones use WTP, wide top pick, where these holes are right at the edges of the container. Your spreader has the option to close these forks right here, where these two twist locks are, to bring them closer together or farther apart. Right now we're in ISO mode, so this is an international only crane, but on our top lift Ferrari and our Terex, you can extend those out to WTP. So can you on our trailer loaders, which are not modeled in this game because they're antiquated, my-jack pieces of shit. They were good for the time, but they're terrible now. So, automatic opening gate. I'll move the cabin forward in a second to demonstrate that. We won't really need it in this one, but we will in the next mission because it's actually pretty important. These things also aren't the fastest, but on average our Ferrari, I would say, can get up to 15 miles an hour.
Yeah, it's me all right.
Great. Can you check if I left my player on the dash?
Wow, you're still using that thing.
Of course. It was Dad's. His taste in music wasn't as good as mine, though.
So you kept the recording too?
Come on. When you make it big, I'm running your fan club. I'm dead serious, though. Your music's good. I just wish there were more than 2 people who knew about it. So I put together a little video with yesterday's cam feeds and your music and posted it online.
Well, tell me if it gets any views. Anyways, gotta get back to work.
Good luck.
I'm going to do this the way I would at work. We're going to leave the music on for this. I've only known of Top Lift and Terex. Yeah, and Top Lift, I would say, is kind of... Hyster is spelled H-Y-S-T-R. They're really weird. I think they're European. They might be American. If they aren't, I have... How's the volume levels looking? Decently enough. Okay. So, what first things we're going to do is move the boom out a little bit. Oh yeah, alt-tabbing seems to undo the controller thing, but that might just be due to the limitations of the demo. So in this case, we're going to extend our boom, which would be... boom extension. There we go. Because you don't want to do it dead close if you don't have to. We'll drive up a little bit. And we're going to lower it. And then we will actually slide it over, bring it down, and actually bring the boom back in a little. There we go. Press it down. Adjust the twist locks, give it a split second, raise it up. Now, one thing about some of these reach stackers, specifically our old, on our older yellow for our 2017 top lift Ferrari, to really get the boom up to full power, you actually have to floor it and give the engine full power, put it at full RPMs, and that'll give you full hydraulic pressure. On the new 2024 reach top lift Ferrari we just got, which is the same model in F581, but has a bunch of redone things in the control panel, and I believe has some additional energy-saving things as part of the circuitry in the engine. That one has a thing where if I were to grab hold of the joystick and start pulling it upwards, it will put the engine automatically to full RPMs to increase hydraulic pressure so that I can get the boom up. But the 2017 one, at least to my knowledge, doesn't do that, and the Terex absolutely does not do that. You can raise the boom on just bare pressure, just by moving the joystick, but you want full true pressure and power, slam that accelerator to the floor while you're in neutral. And yes, you can drive at full speed with these. It's recommended not at our yard, but due to some of the weird practices that we actually have to do for loading trains, you can do this. You can drive 15 miles an hour with one of these in the yard with it up like this, and you'll be fine, because the suspension in reach stackers is essentially that of... It'll handle everything... You could probably... The only thing that could probably knock over reach stacker, besides doing full speed with a load-shifted container and taking a full tight turn, would be a fucking IED. The tires on these things are insane. Though you can rip one up pretty easily if you're not careful. We will center... See, that's the thing I wanted to showcase. So that shouldn't happen.
Place. I'm going for the second.
So see, that right there, you should not be able to do in real life. If that were possible, not only would you get fired, but your ramp would have some very serious questions for the manufacturer, because it shouldn't be possible. But I wanted to showcase that, because I've already completed all these levels, to showcase that what I'm doing right here, this shouldn't be possible. So if I bring this down, that should be impossible. You should not be able to do that. Recently I've seen the white one a lot more. The white one is used primarily by my boss if he's running. One of our guys that's been there for a bit but left 2 years ago, I think, to work for the bus company, has come back to do the night shifts somehow, and he is less familiar with the white one because the control panel's different. So he uses the yellow one, which we've been using recently. But the white one does... I think the white one gets used in the mornings because I know my coworker that works with it, and he was there when we bought it, so he's had time to get used to it. Our other guy's only been here for about 2 weeks now, maybe, in getting reacquainted, so he's only used to the yellow one. But again, this thing right here should not be possible. It's one of the few things I do actually have a bone to pick with Saber on. Again, not their fault. They may not have known without reading the manual or working in the industry, so I can't fault them, but I will say it's something I do hope changes for the final release, because it's dangerous. Another thing, I want to bring this up really, really quickly. If you ever work in this industry, do not for a single fucking second ever walk under a suspended container, whether it's loaded or empty. If this twist lock system or this boom or this hydraulic system were to fail, you will be killed instantly. There will be nothing left of you to clean up. I have taught this to people plenty of times and almost had a trainee do that once. Do not do it. Now, another thing that is a slight problem, I think it's custom installed, but on our cranes, all of them, they do have, I think it's Briage is the company that does it. We have backup cameras, because you can't see, because I don't know if you noticed, there's a giant fucking boom behind me. So I can't look straight back. So we have backup cameras mounted to... I mean, look at the... Where's the third-person view shit? There's a way to do... There's a mode to do a different view. I'm trying to remember what the fuck it was. Enabled oversized 40-foot mode. There it is. Right stick. So right down there, kind of where below where you'd see like the white license plate thing, mounted a little bit lower on that black mark. That's kind of like an oil stain. See that weird like upside down, you could say phallic shape, but the weird thing underneath the company logo on the back? That's where the like GoPro mounted backup camera is. And these have that because we actually had a thing happen at not our yard but another one. Run by CSX, and what did happen was somebody walked behind one of those while it was backing up. Operator couldn't stop in time, was flattened instantly. And I'm just gonna have it on this third-person view because it's actually easier to see some of the interesting things you can do with this. Let me look at the chat. Makes it so you would want to go fast. It's not an ASUS Intermodal. You do not want to go fast, especially with a fuel tank container. True, but when we do what I've called the quote stack in quotation marks, which is 16 containers in a stack, 3 high, 6 wide. And those are all empties. Those get brought from the eastern end of the ballpark, as we call the main yard, all the way to the west end to load cars to fill out cars, so we can fill out more of a load if we don't have enough containers. In those cases, that's a decent, 2,000 feet you need to go, or almost 1,800 to 2,000 feet. So in those cases, yeah, if you're carrying one container, you absolutely want to go fast, especially if it's an empty. And that happens all the time. So in this case, we're going to bring it up close.
Looks like I'll have to tilt the spreader to pick this one up.
And that is correct. You can tilt the spreader forward and backwards. Now here's the weird thing. You can, technically, the hydraulics are installed on the boom like that, as you can see, to pivot, swing it forward and backwards. Those hydraulics are installed on all of our cranes. I have yet to find a fucking control on any of the control panels that lets me do that shit. So, take that with what you will. I don't know what the fuck my yard was thinking, and I don't know what the hell Toplift was thinking, but, apparently Terex did the same shit. So you'll see we're off kilter by a lot. So I'm going to extend it to 40 foot. And you'll notice we're horribly off. So you're going to go, oh, that really fucking sucks. Whatever will we do? So we'll do this shit. That still might not be enough, so sometimes you do back up. And you'll come over. So now we have a little leeway to move to the left. We're going to bring it down, but not quite. And you'll see you can actually tilt it out. There we go. And then there's a button to reset the boom.
Yep, I'm on the last one.
Great. Bring it over and take a break. I guess it's good to have you back. Maybe.
Good to see you
So
too.
that reset boom button, we do not have one of those in the crane. If there is one, it has been looked. At some point when we go on break, at some point one of these days, will if I will try and take out the operator's manual for the 500 series top lift Ferraris and read it. People at work are going to go, you're a fucking idiot, why are you doing that? That's such a nerdy thing. To which I say, bitch, shut up. Also, another thing you always need to be mindful of is how much room you have on each side of your container. Especially if you're going through shit like this. So in this case, we're going to bring it up pretty high, but not too high. Another thing, if you had the boom all the way up in the air and we're going at full speed and turned right, not advised. I've never seen one flip over, but from what I know about load shifts, not something you want to leave to chance. And some people may wonder what I meant about the cabin. There you go. This. We can move this forwards and backwards for a better view. Especially if there's spine cars behind well cars, so you can't see them. So we'll stop right about here. Actually, there is a brake key. What was brakes? B. Okay. I don't like that we're outside of it, so we're gonna put it in a little. There we go. Now, next one is actually interesting, and it does have a lot of visual inaccuracies, because I work in this part of the industry, so Wouldn't say I'm a true expert, but I would say that I do have a decent amount of experience given the fact that I started my intermodal career during the pandemic, so I've seen it all, at least on the road to rail side of things. With the exception of overhead MyJacks. I've never worked one, because our company does not have one. Though Worcester does, but I don't work there. So we've completed these first two. I don't know why that one was listed as fully green, and not these two. Here we go, urgent delivery. When it comes to my fictional railroad handling intermodal, I have a legit rule on a sign that says, if you're not trained, do not leave the training room. I like that. Oh, that's the other thing. I should mention, if you've probably seen it when you come over to my yard, you may notice it's hard to see, but you can sometimes see the boom of the Terex. That thing's been sitting in the back for like, fuck, I don't know, 10 months now? That it's not coming back. It's actually been sold to a sister yard. So what they're going to have to do is come get it, dismantle it, take it away in parts, and then reassemble it somewhere else. And that thing is... According to the mechanic for the place, there's more than 6, which is what I originally heard. There are still some around, it's just they're not as common. You can't buy new ones, so... If anyone wants to see what some of the cranes are that I've worked with, there are startup videos in a playlist. Use reach stacker to unload 2 containers from Yard H. And bring them to the intermodal terminal. There's your knockoff Gevo. By the way, these well cars, the cars we're going to be loading, horribly inaccurate. I'm going to give Sabre as much data on these as I can, because even for concept, they're done to a point where they're actually detrimental. They don't accurately represent how you would operate a reach stacker. We have a scanner? I assume for scanning containers. Alright, let's get it done. I would actually back us up a little. We're too close to that. Bring our boom up, make sure we're okay on the rear. It's been there for a long time. All I know is on the back of a flatbed truck. Oh, the Terex? Oh no, it's still on its own wheels. It's just parked in the back, facing the fence. So remember the one you executed that came from Chicago for America, you said, with busted door chains slightly open to the other one. Yeah! We have approximately 3 broken door containers up in the ballpark. One that had the top left corner smashed in recently that was an empty that looks like it hit a bridge. So that it can open a little bit of that. That's down now. I think it's UMXU 636919. I have a photo of it. Yeah, so we have 4 fucked up containers up there right now. Yeah, the ones that came from Chicago that were like that was one of those, like, what the fuck are you doing kind of moments. Okay, so we're going to grab this container first, and this is where the kind of weird zero-turn thing on reach stackers comes in handy. So we're going to bring this up a lot. And it is a 40-foot, so we're gonna wait till we turn to unleash the spreader, because it's gonna be a very, very tight fit, and we don't have a backup camera. And yes, we actually do things like this at work, where you have to really, really cut in. Some cases, I might actually make a full 180, which is what I'm going to do in this case, to better come in at a proper angle on this, so I don't have to do a 700-point turn. So in this case, gonna brake, do a full 180, and come at this from a better angle so I don't have to make a sharp an attack. So now you'll see I'm gonna come in like this, make sure I don't hit anything so I don't tear up the tire. There we go. Swing it over. Oh yeah, I wonder what the fuck happened to the smash container mention got fucked up. So there was one when I came back from vacation last year from Colorado that was a pacer that had both front corners like destroy and bend back. And from what I knew from someone at CSX, what had happened on that one was the trucker left, hit a bridge, reported the damage, and for some fucking reason brought it to us. Then, for some reason, the company said, hey, that thing's bad, so we want to get some we want to get some insurance photos for that. So they brought it back out of the terminal on an open road to get more photographs, and then brought it back into us, where it then sat in the ballpark for like 9 months. Because we don't have the tech to repair containers. That's up to the shipper. Or in this case, to UMAX to get their fucking shit together. Alright, so there we go. A lot of turns, but there we go. So now we're going to open our spreader. There we go. There we go. How much kind of bridge too low like the one in Holyoke on Main Street? Forgot about the Holyoke Bridge. When I think of bridge killers outside of 11-foot 8, I think of Northampton's Main Street one. The truck-eating bridge that's as it's infamously known. There we go. We can clear that turn without ripping the tire. And as long as we have it up and over and not clearing things like that, we will bring this up, but we will, you know, not make a full turn at full speed because it's not safe. Double check nothing's coming. And turn. But keep our boom low enough that it's not going to hit the fucking bridge. There's your Gevos. Yeah, and unfortunately this one, we're about to see a rule violation. Something that you would get, both the railroad would get in trouble for, and you would get in trouble for. When you are in a terminal, and you are working with, let's see, can't recite, oh, because that's one of my expressions. Okay, so when, for some fucking reason, you are in intermodal terminal and there are a train is coming in, as long as the locomotive is in and the flags and deals are down, your crane should be absolutely nowhere fucking near any of that. You should be behind the perimeter line with your boom, not anywhere close to that shit. If the flags and deals are down, it is the train crew's territory, not yours. When the flags and deals are up, any member of your ramp crew, now you have free reign over that track. If you don't see those flags and deals up protecting your track, you don't fucking go anywhere near it. Because otherwise, if something goes wrong, you can get killed, and there is no protection. The derail is just that. Say conductor comes in the middle of the night, doesn't have the best lighting, headlights are out on the engine or something, poor communication with a newbie conductor. They want to go hook up to some of your cars while your crew's still working. They'll run through that derail, it'll put that locomotive right on the ground. That crew gets sacked, your ramp crew stays alive. This is really important. So, in this case, like when, let me give a breakdown of what happens at my work. So, if for some reason the engine and cars were still there, until that engine leaves, I cannot put the flags and derails back up as long as an engine is there. I cannot do that. Now, if the engine comes in from one end, it is leaving from the same end, I can leave the other end flags and derails up. Only the end that is entering and exiting. Now, let me think about this for a second. Now, when the engine is pulled off and cut off the cars, I can put the flags and derails up, and then we can begin work. In other words, ground people can begin unlocking the inner box connectors, crane can begin unloading containers, and, you know, jockey drivers can come up over railroad crossings that are sometimes at the terminal and begin helping bring containers up to be loaded on the train, or chassis up to be so containers can come off the train. So in this case, we are being asked to load the farther of the two tracks, and there is a diesel-electric locomotive on the closest track to us, meaning we have to reach our reach stacker over top of that. If I were an operator and did that, not only would I get a very, very serious talking to from my company, but also from the railroad. So don't do that. That's one thing that Sabre needs to fix, especially if this is going to be an American port, because that is something you absolutely cannot do. For example, I can't see where my box is sitting right now. I can't see where the entirety of it is going to sit. There are points where you can't always see that, but the fact that a whole side of that container is obscured by an engine, not great. But we're going to do our best. So what I'm going to do is bring the boom down a little bit. Look at what we've got. So we bring that out. Bring it down a little. See, and that's what you're not supposed to do. Because, see what I just did there? This is the kind of shit that you can't do. Because it will ruin everything. This twist lock thing is, there really needs to be a safety check on it, because this is what happens if you don't do that. I went to go in and make sure that I could get up and over it, and inadvertently released that, and now I've destroyed an entire load. And that container's on its side, so now I'm completely fucked. So see, now there is nothing you can do with that, but you have fucked yourself. Actually, hang on. There is one thing you can do. Is it cable mode? The cable mode isn't implemented yet. So I'm going to restart that, but I wanted to demonstrate to you that that is why you don't do that. This is the kind of thing that... It's the one thing... This twist lock thing is the one thing that, as someone who deals with this stuff every single day, is one of the few things that Saber absolutely has to fix. Because it is something you cannot do. I don't know the exact... if there might be something slightly different that could be done in ship-to-shore cranes, but I know damn sure that none of our reach stackers can do it. Honestly, if a crew runs through a derail, that's just not right at all. Also, I feel technically a locomotive should not be under a container being lowered. That's a recipe for disaster. Oh, absolutely. It's illegal. It's in our company policy. The other thing that's interesting about having a flagging derail up is it's actually not the derail that gets the crew in trouble. That's not the thing that's a fireable offense. It's running over the little blue flag a foot in front of it. That's what gets you fired. You can't run through a blue flag. It's one thing going through derail. But the moment you hit that flag, even before you derail, you're already fired. That's how serious those tiny little flimsy-ass flags are to your job. Now, we did actually have a thing, and it's showcased on the video that occasionally plays at work on the training thing over and over that talks about all these different accidents. You know, a driver pulled away without looking, the supervisor was in the wrong spot, chassis killed the supervisor, though I think the supervisor is more at fault than the driver. Or a forklift person killed without looking, with having a load in front, killed someone who was putting safety cones down for a ship-to-shore crane. Or one where what happened was a trucker was backing a container in with the hydraulic fifth wheel all the way up, jackknifed too hard, the container flipped over, brought the truck in the air, and then the truck slammed back down on the ground, killing the driver. The one that we saw recently is at a port. It's a big port that also has MyJacks, not just ship-to-shore cranes. The showcase is that derails were dropped too early. And the locomotives hooked up while the overhead crane was still trying to put a JB Hunt container on. There was already one container in the well car that was trying to put the second one on. And during that, or trying to remove one, I believe, crew hooked up to that cut and started moving. And with the crane still holding things in the air, that container proceeded to slam into the container behind it in the next car. So, because the danger to everyone, not just the terminal crane operator. Yeah. We actually did have... The locomotive shouldn't be even anywhere where cars are being loaded until it's time to take them away. Absolutely. We actually did have... I can't even fucking remember what I was talking about now. We had one time where an engine did have to come in with the crane still attached, but it was actually not our fault. This was when they were working on IO-19. I think this was 2021. Might have been 2022. The reach stacker is reaching over to, I think, track 3. Or maybe it's 4. I think it was 3, though. Might have been 4. And unfortunately, the twist locks get stuck. Or for some reason, the crane gets stuck. The boom won't lift up, so we can't do anything. So what we actually had to do was drop the D, and we fucked with this for a while. IO-19 comes in, their power rolls up, waits at the derails, I drop them, and the rule was, while in communication with that crew, told them, hey, our crane's stuck. When you hook up to these, because that'll be it's either was attached to part of that track or the overhead track, said, when you guys hook up, make sure it's feather gentle to not jostle things. It makes you cut out exactly your part of the cut so you don't drag the crane with you. And they did it successfully, but I don't remember if I ever had any photographs of it. I should also mention, while you should not have a camera when working at an intermodal yard, there is a reason why I think you should have your phone on you but not use it. If a container comes in damaged, For example, if a container comes in with a big fucking hole in it in the side, and we don't report it, CSX will think that that was my terminal's fault. And they'll go after us. But we have proof that it came in off the train like that while it's still on the train. Now we're safe from false accusations. Let's also mention one other thing about these container cranes. It's not modeled, and it's not modeled in the ship-to-shore cranes either. These do have a maximum tonnage capacity, which I believe is 45 tons. Obviously, like 10 tons over what most containers are loaded at. If the weight sensors, when this thing goes to lift up, think that it's higher, it will not allow hydraulic pressure to flow to the boom, and the boom won't go up any higher. There's a way to override that. Sometimes in the front of these, it's not modeled in here, but sometimes in the front of those two wheels would be a big shoe with hydraulic pistons that pushes down and keeps the front end from tilting forward so you can deal with really, really heavy loads. Our Terex has one, but if you operate it once, you have to go down inside the engine to manually release them. On the Ferrari, it's its own automatic/manual control system to protect you from lifting a container, having a container get stuck or too heavy, and having the crane flip over towards the front. We almost had that happen once where a container got stuck, and the crane went to go pull, and it pulled the rear wheels off the ground, and the crane was stuck in the air in a unique way, but we extended the boom, lowered it down, and saved ourselves. But it's one of those things that can happen. Obviously, that foot thing does not come standard on all reach stackers. I should mention that. Is that front shoe thing is not a standard feature on all reach stackers. There we go. There we go. Now, yeah, if it comes in damaged, you want to have a picture say, this came in this way, it's not our doing. Yep. We had a point in time where someone didn't get a photo of that, and CSX did try to cost us for it. The CSX's idea is, as long as it's still on the train, your proof is valid. But say you took a photo after it had already come off the train, there's always the chance that we could be lying. So I haven't had to report broken containers in quite a while. Okay, that's the wrong area. So there is puddle simulation, which I do like. Should also mention this because I found this out while working in the industry. Because of the sheer rubberized tires in these things, if there is a lightning storm, we will not stop work. Because they believe that these rubber tires are big enough that they will survive. You will stay grounded and you will not be affected by the electricity, so They're your knockoff Gevos. We'll get a better picture of them in a minute. Okay. So that's in my way, so I'm going to do that. Stop at my line, though they want it to be this line. You wouldn't have a guardrail like that. And there we go, back it up. So I've actually had operators hit spine cars before. Or well cars. We actually have, I've explained this before. This is insane coming from my company, but until May 2024, we had an operator who had been there for about 15 years and was an alcoholic. And would come in drunk in the mornings around 4 in the morning to operate a $750,000 reach stacker, and joked about it, and some of the people in the CSX terminal office did know about this. The only reason he stopped coming was he got a DUI in our state, and when he went to the court hearing, my state doesn't fuck around with drunk driving and said, either you hand in your license right now or you go to jail. So he lost his license. And just didn't come in one morning. So boss tried to give him an out, saying, you sure you want to do it like this? Yeah. And quit. But yeah. He used to drive the trailer loader and the reach stacker drunk. Both during the pandemic and afterwards. So, you know, don't ever think all these industries have perfect safety standards, because there are some stupid fucking people in these industries. Have to be pushed right up against it. You see, there'd be interbox connectors sitting on top of this, but here's my problem, it's not... There we go, sitting on the interbox connectors that are not modeled. Because yeah, there's no pointy thing sticking up on the bottom container that our container could lock into. Those are known as IBCs, or interbox connectors. And those are not modeled in this game, unfortunately. Even though they are vital. And they're... I should mention that actually no game has ever technically simulated two double-stack containers, a double-stack container system, 100% accurately. Because unless you work in the industry, you don't know about this. And I should even say, even people in the trains community have gotten this wrong. Not just Railworks, not just TSW, not even Open Rails and MSTS. In the Live Now section, I couldn't find you for brief minutes since the last time you were borrowing DLC series from your partner. How are you? Not been the greatest week back at work. Burned bridges with a coworker who I think is a nice guy outside of work, but the way this is my opinion on how I am at work. I do a lot in this industry. We deal with a lot of bullshit, and I really want to, when I clock in, I want to be out of there at a decent fucking time. Now, I am not the most on-time person, but I also have worked here for 5 years, and I don't give enough of a fuck anymore. I'm just doing this for the money. I'm not doing this because I care. But the way I see it is, if you're someone who's willing to do the rules and is willing to and you can keep up with me for the most part, I think you're great. But when someone is constantly going to the bathroom and sometimes 15-minute bathroom breaks, and I've tallied that up multiple times to the point where I've seen up to 45 minutes worth of time lost over the course of a fucking 10-hour shift because of one asshole, at that point, I start to not see you as a worthy human being. Outside of work, I'll treat you just like everyone else. But in work, if you can't keep up with me, if you don't care about us all getting out of here at a decent time, and you think that you're still the best, you are not even worth the fucking floor that I walk on. And that sounds like the most elitist and horrific shit I've ever said. But if you've worked in the way that I do, if on my outbound screen it shows 74 containers and there's 4 drivers, we're looking at about almost 4 hours worth of fucking work right there. I don't want to have to spend an extra 20, 30 fucking minutes because of shit. So we went up, we knew what time we were on break, we knew what time we were going to go back up and load things. His ass doesn't come in until 15 minutes. I finally text him, go, where the fuck are you? We got up around, I think, 10:32 or something. His ass didn't pull into the parking lot until 10:50. I know this because I watched him pull in. He says, oh, it was only about 10:45. And I gave him some shit. He gives me shit like, well, when you first come in, how about when we're waiting for your ass when you first come in, your 20 minutes, you gotta do your makeup and shit, because, you know, I'm trans. And I said, listen here, you piece of shit. And he got up in my face. Mind, this is a big black dude. This is a tall black dude that's like 45 years old. I've got a fucking problem with that. First off, I'm a veteran of this goddamn place. I don't give it. This is a slight rant, but it's related to how I am in the work environment. I don't give a flying fuck if you are 87 years old, were in the Air Force, got a Purple Heart and all that shit. If you were in this industry for 1 year and I've been in it for 5, I don't fucking care how old you are. You listen to me or you go the fuck home. The way I see it, you do your job right with me or you go home in a body bag. I'm not saying that in a way that I'm threatening them. I'm saying if you do shit wrong, you can get killed. This is the same asshole who, approximately April 1st, this was like 12:30 in the fucking morning. We were almost done. UPS container gets taken off his back. He's in a jockey truck. Takes off. His phone's somewhere off to the side. I always keep mine in my goddamn pocket. I guess goes to check the timer, looks something really quick, looks away. Mind you, it's rainy and dark, but there are spotlights. There's a UPS container on a chassis that a UPS driver dropped off about 15 minutes ago, while we were all sitting there waiting for the cranes to change. He takes off and rams headfirst into the left corner of that, crunching the cab of this cab over 4x2 jockey truck, which also pinned the steering column because it goes down to the left side, which is what was smashed in. Broke a couple other things, so now the air brakes don't work. And removed the... didn't shatter, but removed the giant pane of glass out of the rear door and damaged the glass on the front windshield. And damaged the dashboard and some of the underparts of it. That cab is still rotting away, and it was not replaced until roughly 2 months ago. And that truck has still not been restored to service. So I frankly don't give a fuck about this shit. I don't know if it says less than a year. Literally, the only other guy who's just engaged to talk about the railroad industry, so you're rare find. Well, thank you. Yeah, I wish there's more girls in railroading, on Twitch at least. My fictionals, canon operators, we do let drinks operate if only I or my intermodal crew members have reason to suspect the workers drunk coming in. Yeah, it's an automatic go right home. We actually had someone who was working in the Terex once, named Moses. He smoked weed, which I have no problem with, but under a crane, like at home, and in certain things, like if you're on break, it's one thing, but when you're driving a truck or when you're working a crane, I'd say it's not. Just don't do it. Not because it's the most dangerous substance, but just because it's not the smartest thing to do. Smokes once, and rather than hide the smell inside the Terex cab, throws the roach into, like, a soda can. Soda can gets found by someone else, he gets let go. But yeah, so I burned bridges with someone at work recently. The week hasn't been that great. That was Thursday. I have today off. I unfortunately think I have to work with that guy again tomorrow. It's just one of those things where, and so my main operator that works first shift, when my current boss retires in a year, our other guy, my guy on first shift that's the operator, is probably going to become the terminal manager. And I've talked with him, with another coworker that was just let go about 2 months ago from accidentally tearing open a tire on both Ferraris, one in different months. But I learned that this other guy that I've worked with for about 3 years now, when the time comes, I know he's been there less time than me, but I let him become an operator before me because it just wasn't worth the hassle to become an operator, and it's too much responsibility, and I didn't think the pay was as good. So he actually told me that this guy that I work with now, that I consider as the piece of shit, that when he becomes terminal manager, the first thing he's gonna do is fire that guy. I don't even know what under what grounds, but when this guy worked with us on first shift was such a detriment to the points where, I'll give just his first name. My operator would be like, "Hey, you coming up? Come on out of the bathroom. You know, you coming up?" He'd be like, "Oh yeah, I'm on my way." Meanwhile, I'd be passing him with a fucking chassis, counting how many minutes it was in there. I've taken a decent bathroom break of over 10 minutes before, but that's sometimes because I'm a trans woman. I have to piss every 36 goddamn seconds. Okay, are we close enough? I think we are. We're gonna bring this down a little. Let go. But, see, it's not perfect. Now, some containers we actually have had about an inch off the ground, and sometimes the twist locks get stuck on one end, and you'll see it fall for a second. But it's nothing like what you can do in this game. So we're going to bring this up, bring our boom back. See, we can't, but what we just did there with that engine there, if I did that at work, first of all, I'd be calling up the train crew going, what the fuck? But also, as an operator, they'd be like, "Hey, what are you doing? What you doing there?" I have to look at my expressions because I don't have a fucking toggle, because I want to get a third monitor. I think there's a monitor. What the fuck happened to my thing? There we go. So actually, you know what? At Walmart, I think there's a monitor for 120. I don't know if I can fit all three on this desk, but if I can... You know what? I just got a paycheck. Let me see how much, if I can pay my rent and do my things and still get that monitor. That might be worth picking up tomorrow. I just don't know if I have enough, if I need an HDMI splitter to do that, though. Okay, so unplug this before I hit the wall. Yeah, I'm sorry for the rant. I wanted to bring that up that, you know... In the industry, there's annoying chat messages on my YouTube. I meant to say not let drunks operate intermodal ship, but you know what I meant. Oh yeah, I get that. I'm currently saving money for this holiday, planning on getting 2 HS scale Canadian national coaches and a Greyhound scenic cruiser bus. Oh, Greyhound. My family actually used to have a real Greyhound, like the dog, not the bus. That's really nice. Canadian national. I assume like. Do you mean like the really old smooth-sided ones that were like green and black? Or, I'm trying to remember the exact colors of Canadian National was doing back then. Okay, so every time I alt-tab I have to do this, but I assume that's due to this. Alright, I need to get some sleep shortly, so we'll probably do... I don't know if we'll fuck with this last mission, because I do have to get up in a little bit. But we'll at least try it. I might save the Stradler mission... for another time, just to showcase it, because it does take a while. and the simple fact that I am very bad at it, because I do not like straddlers. I think they're extremely unsafe. I don't care the amount of safety things in them. I saw the 3D recreation of one accident that could happen with one, and me went, fuck that. No, fuck that. Alright, this one's gonna take a little longer time because we actually have to move a fucking container out of the damn way. Okay. Send that up. There we go. Again, and I hope I don't come off as like a condescending bitch to some people. I really do. I just genuinely give a shit about the safety of the people I work with. But I also really care about getting... this explains why you sometimes have a bad day at work, and I'm all for being there. I deal with dumb mods that stop shop, mainly because one guy don't want to do their job right or half-ass. Oh, that sucks. Yeah, no, that's one of the reasons why I come in. That's the reason why I had the whole outburst on my server the other day, on Friday, was because I was so done with this guy. I was ready to... I was ready to hit this guy with the bow and arrow in Minecraft, which is real because I actually have a Minecraft server. So this one we're gonna move to a safe spot, which in this case is gonna be me being a fucking retard for a second and trying to put this craftily in that. Is that a 40 foot spot? Yeah, let's be crafty and just do that. Okay, drop it. Brakes. Yeah. Most of my bad days really do stem from stupid loads of trains and sometimes coworkers just genuinely being a pain in the ass. And I get we all have to work together as a team, and I get the whole thing where sometimes I come in 20 minutes late. But you know what? Sometimes if the start time is at 2:20, guess what? The crane, who should be the lead person for that job that day, sometimes doesn't leave the fuel pad until fucking 2:30. That's not my fault. And if someone had worked in this industry as long as I did, I get I wasn't even the most punctual all the time, but when I did try, the problem I have with punctuality is that one thing I hate that the older generation has done is the idea that on time is late and early is on time. The words on time mean on time. Do not change the fucking definition. I don't give a shit what Gen X or the boomers think about that. Fuck you and fuck that term, because it doesn't help us. It's one of the reasons why our generation, millennials, do not fucking like dealing with the older generations, because they come up with extra bullshit where we're already killing ourselves all the fucking time over shit. And yet, it's still not enough. It's one of the most detrimental. It's just a really annoying term. But yeah, that's generally it. Is like, if this job were better, and pay was better, and I didn't every single day wonder how shit is today gonna be, then you know, maybe I wouldn't be such a bitch. But I've had so much shit, and this is the other thing. So I explain this to certain people. While I've gone by the name Yuri, I didn't legally have it changed until this January. And the probate court in the city did it in 12 days, which is really good. I I brought a copy of those papers into my boss and put them on the desk and said, hey, so this is the name I'm going by now, so if you want to update the others, obviously, well, you got to get the Social Security updated and your driver's license because they have to be put in for the company in front. I went, okay, but here's the name I'm going by. This is what I would like to be called now, and the pronouns are she, her. I already let them know that's how it was going to be anyways, but I simply said, this is my first name and last name now. This is what I want. And I kept getting dead named and misgendered for a long time over the radios by a lot of people, but specifically my boss. I should also mention this without getting political. My boss is black, and he did not vote blue, which is... Try and figure that one out. I'm just trying to say, it doesn't seem right. But simply put, he's from Georgia, I think. So simply put, you can imagine as a trans person who's been spending this long transitioning and doing all this shit, you know, being listed as the wrong name and gender, that's kind of fucking annoying pretty quickly. So, I mentioned a couple months ago, I think I mentioned this fucking maybe March or April or something. I mentioned, hey, you know, at some point I'm gonna, pretty soon, maybe within this month, I'm not gonna answer to the dead name over the radio. You're gonna have to call me by the new one. He said, oh, I'm not calling you, like, by that. And I said, the fuck you are? I have paperwork that states that is my name now in this state. You're gonna tell me that you are gonna go to court and argue against them? He said, you know that, and he said, well, it's not going to be it's for protocol. Mind you, multiple times people have said, go for dead name, and have called me dead name, and I said, go for Yuri. The CSX office can hear these radios. They don't give a fuck. They don't care. They know my voice. They know who the fuck I am. They don't give a shit. I haven't come out to them yet, but I think that they'll be far more open than what my fucking boss was, because I actually like the guys in the CSX office. They're actually pretty cool. Some of them I didn't like originally, but there's some that I actually really do like. And, you know, it was one of those things where he said, well, I'm not going to tell you that. I went, so right now, you and I are the only, I went to my boss and I'm like, so you and I are the only two people in this crew room right now. And you're telling me you won't even be courteous enough to address me by the proper name right now? Because it's not protocol right now. It's just two human beings talking. And I think the Friday before I went on vacation, we got done kind of early, and so I'm waiting for us to go back up for like 2 hours before, to go back up to load the UPS. Because that happens later. Its own separate thing. And I go in the locker room and I make a blanket out of like my coat and shit, and I lay down with Bob Ross videos and just sleep for a bit. And then I wake up after about, I don't know, 45 minutes. I get a little bit of a power nap in. I hear my boss doing something of how I address people on the radio or things I say and going, well, I'm Yuri. I don't know if it was meant to be joking or whatever, but it seemed like a way of mocking the fact that I'm trying to drive that whole point home. But until you fucking experience dysphoria, you don't know how much that hurts. You don't know how annoying that is. It's like, for another example, which is unrelated to that, but is at work, is a thing I deal with. If I go into work, and I'm not clean shaven, and I can still see the fucking, the shadow, I'll have to wear a mask. And if I can still feel the hairs left over, I'm at a point in my life now where I cannot boy mode anymore at work. It drives me insane. So sometimes I'll shave right before work, and then I'll put on my makeup right once I get to work, which only takes about 2 minutes, by the way. I have a foundation. I have a little bit of foundation slash concealer shit that's all one combo. I put some powder on over it, and then I can do whatever. And put a little lipstick on, because if I'm going to go out there and drive trucks, I want to look hot as fuck while I'm doing it. Now, I'll put my breast forms on, because I have not decent breasts, but they're not as big as I would like them to be, because I'm a fucking size queen. But it's just one of those things. Hold on, let me see. I have all the money in the world. It's a place I moved close to. Some kind of train station that I have to pay hundreds, if not thousands, for a car. I completely agree on that. That's, you know, for me to get on a train, I only have to drive 10, 15 minutes. It's really nice. It's not that much to go down to New Haven. I personally how we're being made stereotypical for emphasizing on rent, like making sure we just have a roof over our heads. Yeah, like they always talk politics sometimes at my work, and I was like, well, I'm never gonna afford a house. And they're like, well, what do you mean? I'm like, because the previous generations made it, and they argued about some shit. And I'm like, I'm gonna be like, I always tell you my parents when I was like, I'm probably not gonna afford a house right now because we can't. Mind you, with the amount of bills I'm paying, well, until I get this car paid off in May, um, I'm barely getting by. And this is only $1,000 a month rent. But I pay, for some reason, my phone bill double charges me. So instead of it being like $90, it's like $160. I'm paying for my car insurance, which doubled, almost tripled because of a speeding ticket 3.5 years ago. Almost 4. Which is slowly going down, like, I think $40, $50 like every year or something. Paying for the car, the rent, power, which is the cheaper one, internet, phone, I think I said rent, and then if I need food or something, that's all a shit ton that's costing me right there, and I'm in a tiny ass studio apartment. Oh, did I not extend? Oh, the boom's fully extended. Sorry. Whoops. Whoopsie. I was like, why isn't it going out? There we go. I don't think we're supposed to reach over this one, but... By the way, that's supposed to be your 53-foot intermodal well car. Notice how there's no well. My guess is that Sabre is European and unfortunately doesn't have enough reference for these. So I will go to work at some point. Pretty cool you live along the northeast corridor, though. We lived kind of on it. We lived on the northern part. Technically what's known as the Hartford line, because the northeast corridor happens around New Haven. We have the non-electrified part that's about 62 miles, that goes 62 miles north. Which is really cool, though. And it's a wonderful thing. Since they opened up that to have the CT rail and everything, it's been a really wonderful service. It's beautiful. It's one thing if you're saying it, but when people speak Gen X or Gen Z, or because some people use it as a crutch to explain their behaviors with stuff like you said, yeah, I agree. That's why I slightly hate when people use the Gen X, Gen Z thing in a matter as a crutch. People have autism as a crutch. You shouldn't do that. Oh, I agree. This is offensive to people in the community or segment of people who don't use this crutch. It reminds me why I sometimes despise certain people in this world. A couple of my relatives live by that railroad line too. I have vague memories of barely seeing stuff like these selling the amphitheaters behind the tree line across the street. That's really cool. I've only gotten to go on an Acela Express once, and I got towed by an HHP once. I think I've been towed by a toaster twice in my life. But yeah, it's really cool. And it's how my boyfriend Casey gets up to see me nowadays. Is he takes the train. When he's not driving back in my car with me, if he comes up to see me at other times, he will absolutely do that. He will come up on the train. I'll pick him up, and he'll come home on it because it's very cheap. Okay. Okay, we're close. That damage doesn't count because that's a guardrail. Fuck the guardrail. Yeah, what is it? 11:11, and I have to wake up around 4. So yeah, I should get some sleep after this. But I will at least showcase what the Straddler looks like so you guys can understand why this thing is like a weird, janky ass. Okay, that swings like that. I'm not sure why that car would be on an angle, but sometimes they are due to the track. Okay. Okay. There we go. Got it. You said they don't really have a fixed schedule, if I remember correctly? No, they do! One of the stations, I believe it's Windsor, has an old station. They've been redoing a lot of the tracks, so for a while there was buses on certain services. So trains were not coming in and out of... the Hartford line trains were starting in Hartford and not coming out of basically a bus would take you the first like 20 something miles, and then you'd hop on a train, and they'd be like stored in the fucking yard that CSOR has for a freight yard. Okay, bring those. So we've done the first 3 missions. We're going to go to the 4th one just to showcase it, but we're not going to do the whole thing because it takes a really, really long time. Straddlers are not fun. I don't care what anyone says about these things. Honestly, MBTA service, after writing all, it makes Amtrak schedules for anything but the Vermont and Down Easter look sad and piss poor. Even if it's only less than half the entire NEC, unreal will there be a time where US has high-speed rail? Yes. I have to say this. I was excited for the Avelia when they were first announced, but all the shit that's happened to them has made me really skeptic. And while they have had some issues since they've come out, if they can prove that they are just as good as the original Acela Express and will last as long, I think they'll go far. But Alstom really, really, really needs to step their game up because they work with Bombardier on the Acela. Now it's just Alstom. So they really need to make sure they have their shit together. So it's like with the Chargers. I think the Chargers are really cool, but they only really work in warm climates. Like they're not, when they put them on the Vermonters, they're not going to work up here because the air intake is on the bottom, so they eat snow. But in California, they're amazing. In Florida, the ALC 42 ones, I can't remember exactly. I think that's what it's called. Whatever it's called. Let me look it up. Let me look this up. Brightline Chargers. What the fuck are these? What are they called? I need to look these up. Look up Brightline Chargers and I can't spell right. Chargers. What are these? SCB 40s. I think the SCB 40s are fucking great because they work in Florida. But places with a lot of snow. Though in my 125 is still high-speed rail by international standards, 2 of the qualifications for high rail is upgraded tracks to 125 miles an hour. Yeah. I remember I rode the Acela in 2008 with my folks. My mom had saved like 10 billion American Express points. We had points we were sometimes doing 15 because the track was still shit then, but it was really, really fun. I do want to take one from like Boston or Providence or something because I really do want to know what an Acela Express feels like at 150 miles an hour. I've never had a chance to, and I want to do it before the original ones are gone. And if no one if one of those whole original Acela Express train sets doesn't get saved, I will cry until the day I die. Yep, the toasters could reach 125 too. It was built into them. In fact, the cruise control knob actually does go up to 125 in 5 mile an hour increments. So you could do it even towards the end of their lives. System failed the Bud Metroliner, reached 120, so close yet so far. They did 150 in testing, but they were going to tear themselves to pieces. That's the reason the Bud Metroliner failed, is actually the thing that's happening with the Chargers. They had an air intake on the bottom, so when it's snowing out, all of the snow goes in the air intake. On the MBTA thing, for context, I went out with my friend Gary, who I introduced to, and it was cool, and because I saw a fuck ton of Acelas, the Alston ones, glad I saw before they go. Yeah. I do have one thing. Even if the next gens go, I don't know if anyone knew about this, but there was another, technically, Acela locomotive that still exists. It's not an active service, but even after the Avelias take over, it won't go anywhere. You may not know where it is, but it still exists. And in fact, an Avelia has probably been 1,700 feet from it before. Specifically for those who have seen a video in Canada from roughly 17 years ago, those who know I'm talking about, Bombardier made another version of the Acela without a pantograph. The Bombardier Jet Train. Picture a silver and red Acela with a jet turbine inside of it. Do you know where it is now? It's still on a siding at the testing facility in Pueblo, Colorado. Not sure if she's going to run again, but she's there. The jet train. Yep, still alive. for high-speed services. Honestly, if we had biofuels for turbines and we were still trying to fight off big gas, it would be a really wonderful thing if we still had those back, I think. Because people already know how to work on Acellas, work on those. I think it came too late, but I really wish... So this is the thing we're going to last look at for a second. I don't like these. They look dangerous. There was actually in the list of... do that. Yeah, I don't like this thing.
The new toy, Mark?
She's perfect. I wouldn't dare put a scratch on her.
Don't need to worry too much. Just be careful and do your job.
I'm on it, boss.
Yeah, I don't like these things because you drive sideways. I'll put it like this. You could put a gun to my head and put me in one of these and tell me to drive. And I would tell you, pull the trigger as hard as you fucking can.
Alright, the engine did start. That's a relief. Can you check if the spreader works now?
Sure, works just fine, boss.
Great.
Lower. Oh, fuck that. But then, Jetstream pulled the Gladys Portal 1 ending song. It didn't work, but it still survived all this shit and still here. Yeah, someone has a picture of, like, I think a year or two ago. Still sitting there. Didn't work and as originally planned. There's I think 1 or 2 videos of promotional stuff from it. And there's actual video of it in revenue service, trailing on a VIA train. If you look it up, Bombardier jet train pulled by VIA. It's some regular-ass VIA commuter train, and because it has a regular knuckle on the back, you see it getting dragged with the fucking marker lights on the back. It's a really, really ancient video. There is also only one game that you can technically drive it in. On trainsim.com, there was one made for Microsoft Train Simulator, and a fictional one in the yellow VIA livery. Yeah, so this is the thing we're supposed to drive. So in real life, in one of our training films that they used to showcase one of the things on one of these is that someone was driving one of these with the cabin facing like this. And there are intersections, as you can see, that you need to stop at. Didn't stop. Someone hit them from the side on this. This whole thing went down on its side. Because it's only a glass cab, you could imagine your ass goes out the fucking seat, even with a seatbelt, or I think they actually weren't wearing a seatbelt, flew out this, lands on the fucking pavement, dead. So, I don't trust these things, because at least in the Ferrari, I'm only 7 feet off the goddamn ground, same with the jockey truck. And one of these, that's, nah, I trust the ship-to-shore cranes more than these fucking things. And I have to line this bitch up. Oh, how happy day. Fucking kill me. I want to know where this fucking container is. Oh, I'm off center, of course. Right? Hang on. There we go. Yeah, I don't like working on these things. Wait, was that a 40-foot? Oh, wait, hold on. Which container is mine? That one? Okay. Well, where's my fucking spreader? Hey, there we go. VA is honestly hurting just as bad, if not worse than Amtrak right now with Horizons out of service. Yep. In my opinion, VA Rail is even worse than Amtrak. Their current network map is a sad sight. My train network was cut through 80s and 90s. Yeah, that and every train is like fucking terribly late. As cool as it is, they're still using lightweight coaches from as far back as the late 40s. Yeah. VA Rail having their own things of equipment retired on most of the lines cut isn't good at all. Honestly, call me an old lady, but the thing that they should have kept around, I wish it was been more successful. I wish Amtrak had taken the damn thing when they were given the opportunity to as well. The LRC, the MLW LRC. God, I love that thing. I also love the sheer number of animations, including the way the joysticks and all the safe. See, 20, 30, and 40-foot buttons on the panel. And then that thing on your left, that would be at my work. How you would move containers around the yard would be that tablet. We use a thing called traffic control, developed by these pricks in Washington State called Tideworks Technology. It's a great piece of software until you don't have an internet connection. Then it freezes up, and in older cases, used to lock up the entire fucking tablet. Really, really fun. Honestly, well, I hate Windows 11. The Windows 11 that's on our fucking upgraded tablets is surprisingly not too fucking terrible. Is that not where it wants me to... Oh, it wants me to go up there. Hey man, this won't take as long. Alright, let's try and get this next one out of the way. Getting out of here is not going to be easy. And back up. Probably what I'm going to have to do. Also, I really do like the way the ambient style of music this does, because it really indicates, like, hey, this shit's all fucked. Now, I did get damage in this mission the first time, and it's not from what you think. It's not from ramming into anything detrimental. It's from one of those little fucking things down there, those little red ones. I proceeded to hit one at full fucking speed, and it did not go well. Can't imagine why. They're made of like fucking space titanium or some shit. And the gate is operated by a dumbass. Alright. Yeah, shit like this is what I don't like. Because there's not much room to work on these things. I presume they have bumpers, but... Well, let me drive it home, little Leah. Yeah, I should. Another thing that really needs to come back in some shape or form is a modern version of the Bud RC or SPV 2000, because there are a lot of rail lines that could put them on that would be plausible, yeah. VIA Rail still use some RDCs to this very day. That's right, they do, in isolated cases. I wonder if Alaska Railroad still has theirs that was for that Taurus thing. I don't remember. No! I think they replaced their Bud with that, the double-decker from Colorado Railcar. My partner loves Buds, but he has, like, the standard ones, not the, like, vestibule-heavy ones that, VIA has, but they're really cool. Sadly, never been in a Bud, but... Oh, I'm retarded. That's a 40-foot. I was like, why isn't that lining up? Says the woman who's been in Intermodal for 5 years going, huh, why doesn't the 20-foot thing attach to the 40-foot thing? Sometimes I am not smart. I mainly have 3 modes in life. Working. Bubbly, hyper feminine. Angry, oh sorry, 4. And then the final one is NSFW, which, as many of you will know, proper railroad protocol stands for not suitable for Wabtec electronics. What did you think it meant? No one is. If humans were smart all the time, we wouldn't be humans. We'd be error-prone robots. You know how Amtrak wants their future long-distance fleet to have an elevator in them? Even though it's not be realistic, they should show someone... They should commission a Swiss company like Stadler to design one. Since Canada's Rocky Mountaineers double-decker coaches does have an elevator. It fucking does? Really? You know what? Stadler would be... Stadler would be a great company for that. Because they did the KISS... I think they did the KISS really well. For a non-American company, they made probably an EMU that I think Caltrain is pretty fucking happy with, if I'm going to be honest. I actually have a favorite engine from Stadler, but sadly it's not here in America. It's not the Flirts either. It's the Stadler GTW in Arriva paint is one of my favorites. We have one in MSTS, and then I found out Chris Trains made one for Train Sim Classic a long time ago, so I bought that. I think it's the only thing I bought off of his Railworks site. Yeah, see? See this? This is why you can't see this from here! Fucking space titanium-ass little fucking signs. No, those need to be... sorry, in the final build, those need to be destructible. I need to be able to have one of those get crushed. That would be realistic. I forgot what it means if someone's Twitch name is red. Maybe it's because they're a follower? Or maybe I'm stupid. Or in a really weird case of events, maybe both. Yeah, it's worth me being late to work for this, because I'm just going to have a little food and then go to sleep. Okay. Which... do I have to line up for this one? Hold on. Shit. Let me look at this really quick. Yeah. I need to readjust the camera view. Please tell me that's all the way up. Oh, the pulley's animated. I didn't see that. Okay. Well, now that I have a fucking container in the way, I can't see where the hell I'm going, asshole. So I have to cheat. It marks me for hitting these things. I'm gonna be like, well, it's only because there's 7 inches of clearance in this asshole thing. Meanwhile, my friend Kat, Missing Boxcar on YouTube, was like, oh, this is the easier one to deal with. I'm like, fucking how? She's like, just look down. I'm like, it's off center, asshole. What do you mean? There we go. Demo's done. Metro's like the VA rail of USA, since they also have the ragtag fleet of trains, past and present. Yeah. And they have those electric double-deckers, I think, still. Also, my favorite Swiss and European locals is the OBG Railjet Taurus. I forgot who built it. Siemens is the ones who made it. I've actually been on a Taurus, but not where you would think. When my family went to, this was there's a whole lot of details I'm leaving out, but there was a point in time where Wolf Mom, Wolf Dad, and I, and a shit ton of other parts of Wolf Dad's family, went to Poland. And there was a point in time where we did, after several days in Warsaw, did travel to Krakow. And I think we had, I don't remember what the old electric engine was that pulled us, but on the way back from Krakow, from Krakow to Warsaw, we had a BR-182 Taurus on the point. And that fucker got up to over 100, I think. I had my head out the window at points. I was like, holy fucking shit, this is amazing. It's also that one that's known as the musical one, because the traction motors, every time they step up a thing, make like a different musical sound. Yeah, that's the demo, for those who are wondering. That's the entirety of the demo. You can still try it. You see materials, balance, daily profit. I didn't make anything. You'll see that there's 2 tabs. There's an economy, so you can order more shit for your docks, like other cranes and things. This is what your map looks like, by the way. Trucking line, which we don't have access to yet. Power plant to upgrade things like your cranes. This is where you purchase stuff for your cranes, like straddlers, or in that case, that's an overhead MyJack. Fuck me, we actually have RTG. That's a regular MyJack. I didn't know we had those. Woo! I can't wait to use those. Container yard for reach stackers. Truck office for stuff for containers for in and out of trucks. Yard F. These are all served by reach stackers. They have a capacity. Gas station for filling shit like your jockey trucks and your, like stuff like filling for your jockey trucks and things like, reach stackers. Also, Bud Gallery cars, old as hell, but based. Yes, I agree. Nippon Shario. Oh, well, the Bud guys. I was thinking of the Nippon Shario galleries, like the ones Caltrain had. Speaking of Metro and Gallery cars, what are you guys thoughts of being as if indirectly operating their very own commuter train line in Chicago? It's interesting that they're doing that. Terminal trailer parking lot. Your terminal tractors are parked here increases the limit. Max units 2 by default. Really? Rail line. Number of RMG crane slots. Interesting. Yard H is also that. Yard J, which I think is where we were working out of. Straddle carrier lot. Reach stacker parking lot is all the way over fucking there? You can see what the yard actually looks like. That's our ship-to-shore crane. You can see where all the damage was. That's where we originally unloaded the containers with the reach stacker. One was over here. The other one was right here. So when we started the reach stacker, I think we started it... Where did we start it out of? I believe we started out of yard G right here. I think, anyways. Yard B, I don't think we fucked with that yet. Actually, that's not true. Where's the overhead bridge that we were fucking with? Oh, right here. So yard B is where we were fucking with to get containers out of, and then brought them over to here. Okay, that makes sense. Oh no, it was right here, because we had to go through this. So we would have started out of yard H. Okay. I presume because you have more than one, you might have AI or other things doing things off-screen. Anyways, that's Port Wake. So, can't wait whenever this comes out. And I hope they don't rush it. I really do hope I can get some more information to them beforehand. I gotta visit the BNSF around Metro or racetrack because I want to see the rush hour action of train. There's a real... Yeah, I want to. Yeah, the musical ones. A664 was traction motors, that would be cool, but already is what it is. I think it's a nice feature. It is a nice feature. Portal North Ridge, the Penn Station remodeling, the Amtrak Air train sets. The It Can't Come Quicker Enough trilogy. Yep. I actually agree on that. So vehicles and milestones. We don't have that yet. Orders and processing. So that's like your skill tree thing, but that's how you get stuff. RMG cranes. Wait, what are RMG cranes? Oh, MyJacks that can't be steered with rubber tires, that are just directly attached to rails over the track. Okay. Terminal tractors. Who the fuck is calling them tractors? What are you, fucking insane? I will showcase the settings menu and then we'll get the fuck out of here. Yeah, but that's it. So, if you guys are interested, go look up the doc on the doc store page. There should be a thing to install the demo. It's a decent little bit of size. Works with keyboard and at least Xbox controller. I haven't fucked with PlayStation or other controllers yet. But yeah, I think it's going to be pretty promising. I think that Saber actually really does know what they're looking at. I think that there are a few things that are more American specific that I really do hope that they refine, and I'll do my best as someone who works in the industry to get as many references as I can to them. I don't know if the feedback form will be enough, but I'll do my best to help them. Oh yeah, there is the MyJack right there. That's really nice. I do like the animated menu though. And you can see the Jackie trucks right there. Loading shit on chassis is going to be interesting, considering that's what I deal with a lot. So there's a leave feedback. So D is to wish list. I think does it send you to the page to wish list? Yes, it does. Release date to be announced. I'm very thoroughly excited with what this is going to be like when it comes out. 2 curators have reviewed this product. Wishlisted, 802, number 802 most wishlisted on Steam. Go Get Us Super X said not recommended. What the fuck? Why? These are not great curators. Well, they don't work in a port, asshole. Here's your menu. You have a lot to deal with here. You can do a lot, even stuff with the spreaders, like actual pitch, yaw, and roll inversions, if that's so your choice. Your control scheme has simulator, arcade, hybrid mode, and a free camera mode. I use simulator mode because I fuck with the real thing. Everything different volume sliders. Display-wise, it does actually let you have windowed full screen, which is really, 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 really nice. Actually, I have vertical sync turned on. I should turn that off. I should turn that down. I should disable that. Target frame rate. Let's do 60. There's a brightness thing. I ain't fucking with that. Fuck that. Dynamic resolution. Graphics. It does have different forms of anti-aliasing, so that's good. I just fuck with TAA because I believe that's what's supposed to be the best one. There is motion blur. I leave that turned off because I do not like motion blur. I call it the lag switch. But you have a lot of shit here. And I think genuinely this is a very good, what's the leave feedback thing? There's a subreddit, which I have not fucked with yet. There's a survey form to leave feedback, which I want to fuck with. And there is the subreddit, actually interests me. I had not looked at that yet. So there's a Google form thing to fill out some stuff here. Find your code by opening the game overlay and at the bottom of the screen, your KSIVA code. How do you experience it? What is all the stuff? How do you feel about the controls of every game? What do you think about the atmosphere? Playing the demo? I think I did complete this, actually. There is a subreddit here. And I am going to join that subreddit. I am very thoroughly interested in what this is doing. But it does seem like there's some pretty positive reception, so... That's that. So, thank you all for watching so much. Also, to those of you who noticed the slight change on my model, this was actually the new eyes were inspired by my boyfriend. He got me into Oshinoko in January, and he sees a lot of Ai Hoshino in me. So I gave him a gift right after he got back from New Hampshire on vacation, where I spent a very short amount of time editing the texture sheet for my model to give my model her eyes. But they're adapted to me. So I hope you guys like it. I'm probably head out here soon because I need to sleep. You've been researching how many places in LA you can reach using the Metro rail network, except for only major places you can't reach using trains is Rodeo Drive and Beverly Hills. Yep. MBTA honestly has good local care. Local gets damaged, they get shit fixed and back up quick, but they don't rush it, and that's cool. Can't wait to eventually see MBTA 40s in the 4C phase livery. That's going to be interesting. They'll be next to the most of Metro's oldest FE40s operated left in existence. It was cool. I did get a pic of MBTA 1070 and hear that the idling higher NPM was cool, and this was from a mention of one that said, yeah, they do have a high idle option. Metro seems MBTA having their FE40s on it. Yeah, I have not seen the, Any past train services you wish made a comeback? Wait, F40 is one. Yeah, 1070 I have not seen the MBTA, the B&M one, no. Any particular past train services you wish made a comeback? For me, if we still have the Bud Metroliners, make the Metroliners come back. I think one of the ones I would personally see come back, and I know they're working on it, but I think would have been really wonderful to still have, and the only reason it was canceled, you can actually blame Guilford, not Amtrak, is the Montrealer. That was a really cool thing. People don't realize this, but in the 80s and 90s there was a point in time where Guilford didn't like Amtrak having the ability to use their tracks to get to Montreal. So what they did, they said, fuck you, we're not going to fix the track anymore. Let it get into disrepair, enough that freight could run, barely. Amtrak said, well, that's not good for us, so they took things elsewhere. And that's why there's for the longest time until 2015, the Vermonter used to go from Springfield, run down the Berkshire sub with a cab car to Palmer, would run through the interchange and pull into the station and run through the interchange and change directions at Palmer and go up the NECR line all the way to Amherst, the old Amherst station, and then make its way up into Vermont, meeting at Northfield. In 2015, that got rechanged. So you can blame Guilford for that. Amtrak just decided they weren't done with it. Push-pull in the old Vermonter route. Yeah, the ancient one. I think the new one is really good. I do miss... I would have loved the Montrealer to be a thing, because I would have definitely taken it at a better passport back then, or now. I'm trying to think of other things. What the fuck else was there? I think it was the Clocker. There's what the hell were? Huh. Out of other older trains, I guess. Huh, that's a good one. I do wish there was another. I know it used to be more standard back in the day, that there was an Amtrak service that wasn't combined basically the LSL and the regional. So you could start in Boston, and instead of taking the other way down, where you go down the coastline of Massachusetts, you could start in Boston, go to Worcester, go to Springfield, and then go down to New Haven. So there was a way to properly connect them instead if you wanted to get to Springfield from Boston, you have to take the one Lakeshore Limited per day and get off there and then find a time to connect to Northeast Regional southbound. That's not great. There needs to be a better connection option than that. And sure, you have MBTA, but that only gets you as far as Worcester. So what, you're going to take a bus between Worcester and Springfield? That's still an hour and a half's worth of fucking driving. That ain't fun. So, yeah. 1070 is regular, normal 3C, 1030 is the B&M one. Okay. Yeah. I gotta set my alarm soon and sleep, so wish me luck and pray that I make it to work on time, because my bosses, y'all need to make it to work on time. I don't give a fuck. Fuck this shit, so... share your progress. Thank you! So... that's gonna be that. And, I might do another stream tomorrow after work. We'll see. So, and if I don't see you then, I'll see you some other time. So, thank you all so much for watching, and I'm gonna lead us the fuck out of here. So, thanks for everything, guys. And thanks for the lovely welcome. For those of you who haven't already followed, it's worth giving me a follow on Twitch. And if you don't see things on Twitch, you can always watch the YouTube, which is Trixie VTuber, TRXIE VTuber, and it's Trixie Wolf on Twitch for those of you who are on YouTube, so you can keep up with all that. So, thank you so much for hearing me rant about Intermodal for approximately 2.5 fucking hours. But, yeah. I really hope you guys like it, so I will see you all later. Bye-bye! How do I... there we go. How do I do this? There we go. I see the last couple comments. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye. The 46s are cool. Casey hates them, though.